shock, really confronting. How can you survive this?
Of course, you've heard these stories before, but the more you read them, and because it's in such a short time, it gets worse. Like, it even made me a bit emotional to read all of it.
It's heartbreaking and shocking, and I now wonder, what can I do?
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
No, I don't know what to say either.
I think we all know these stories. We need to raise this topic more often to take the taboo away from it.
It's harsh. I think it's stuff you know it's there.
Speechless.
Yeah, you wish them so much more.
In a brothel disguised as a hotel in India, 3 girls were raped and sexually exploited for 5 years long. The hotel contained 4 floors. On the first 2 floors, there were real hotel rooms rented out, and the 3rd floor has been used as a brothel. The hotel was located next to the national highway with connections to big cities such as Mumbai, Pune, Hubli, Bangalore, and Chennai. The traffickers chose this place for their illegal trade because of tourists and truck drivers on drive-thru. The traffickers lured the tourists and truck drivers to the brothel. A rescue team rescued the 3 girls. In the beginning, they did not find a single track of the girls. After almost 2 hours, they discovered a cabinet in one of the rooms at the brothel's floor. This cabinet was in front of a hideout that was built in the wall. In total, the space was only 2 meters deep, 60 centimeters wide, and 1.5 meters high. The only ventilation was via a PVC tube of 1.5 meters wide. Inside this cabinet, 2 girls and a pimp were found. The traffickers lured the girls when they were 16 years old and were put in different brothels in Kolkata. Every victim got raped daily by 6 to 8 men. The girls always tried to escape.
Hi, my name is Kayra and Draak, and you are watching my talk about sexual exploitation of children. We talk about sexual exploitation of a child when a boy or a girl under the age of 18 years old has been sexually exploited. In a lot of cases, this is done for money. Child prostitution, child pornography, child sex tourism, and child trafficking are all forms of sexual exploitation of children. I did research on this topic, and I'm telling you about it in this video because I've always been interested in the causes of the big differences in rights between people. How can it be fair that I have the right for good education and that I can say whatever and stand wherever I want, while on the other hand, someone never got the chance to go to school and is expected to shut their mouth? Furthermore, how can it ever be allowed that someone else tells you what to do with your own body? Even though a lot of people are thinking the same way as I am, and I know a lot of people do, a lot of children around the world are still being sexually exploited. Children cannot choose for themselves to do something like this, so a person is never allowed to sexually exploit a child. However, there is a demand for having sex with children, and if this demand never stops, the problem will never go away. Interpol has an international child sexual exploitation database, a mouthful, where 64 countries are connected to. Within this database, the total of media files of child sexual exploitation and abuse material of 1 million. There are 10,752 identified offenders and 23,564 identified victims in 2019. This is of course the highest top of the iceberg, so the part that we can see. Still, a lot of cases are staying very well hidden, and therefore such numbers are truly underestimating the reality. That is why we are going to have a look at the iceberg underground. As I already said, these numbers from the ECSE database are from identified cases. 47% of the total of media files is identified and 53% is unidentified. This means that when I think about it and make my own calculation, we should actually double these numbers and you will have this. I'm of course using an easy calculation right now. In reality it is much more complex. However, it can still be a good way to make an estimation. So we are going to dig a bit deeper by doing this. Over 50% of the world's population lives in countries that are not connected to the ECSE database. That is why we should again double these numbers and then we will have this. Furthermore, a part of the world population is not even registered. So how will you then ever know that they have been sexually exploited if you do not even know that they are a part of the world population? 15% of children is not registered. So if we take 15% of this, we can add that as well, and you will have this. At last, these numbers are only about child pornography, and that is not the only form of sexual exploitation of children. There are 4 different forms, as I explained in the beginning. This means that we can actually multiply these numbers 4 times and you will have this. I can continue like this forever. I can still ask questions like, which percentage of sexual exploitation of children belongs to child pornography? Which countries are connected to the database? Are that more wealthy countries? Does that mean that if more not wealthy countries are connected to the database, the numbers will be much higher? And so on. And the numbers will getting higher and higher and higher, and in the end we will get to the assumptions that everyone has, that millions of children are victims of sexual exploitation. I do not only want to show you that the knowledge around these numbers is very low, but I also want to show you that a lot of this business happens underground. We cannot always see what is happening, and that makes it so hard to come up with a solution for this problem. In my research, I thought a lot about how this problem can be solved. Unfortunately, the demand for having sex with children will never go away, which means that we can never solve the problem completely. We can only reduce the numbers of victims. A lot of different organizations already exist to try to do this. They have a large variety of programs and campaigns which are focusing on different parts of the system in which they are trying to make a change. I will give you a short explanation about the system. At first we have this demand side where I already talked about, and this demand side is waking up a market, the supply side for sexual exploitation of children. These suppliers are thinking of 1,000 ways to get children into this exploitation, this market, which we call the causes. There are a lot of different causes how children end up in sexual exploitation. Because of these causes, children will fall into the hands of human traffickers. And these human traffickers will continue with this because they can earn a lot of money with it, and they have a feeling of impunity, a feeling that they will never be discovered or punished. And this circle will continue like this because of bad connections between communities, governments, civil society, etc. And because of legislation, laws that are not followed, and bad understanding of the problem. As I already said, organizations are trying to do something within the different parts of the system. We have organizations that really try to save children when they have already been sexually exploited. We have organizations that try to create awareness. And we have organizations who try to give education to different kind of groups of society. During my research, I was constantly asking the same question. Why is this problem still a problem if there are so many organizations trying to do something about it? But now I understand. Because this demand side will never go away. So every step to reduce the victims is a very big and helpful step. With this in mind, I was thinking of what I can do as this small person in this big world. The very first step for reducing the victims of sexual exploitation is creating understanding around the problem. The more people understand the problem, the more we can create an open space where people can talk about the problem. That is why I made this short video, with which I can hopefully reach as many people as possible, and in which the problem is explained as simple and accessible as possible, so people will understand it, like as many people as possible. It is my call to action. With this video, I also would like to end my pie talk. I hope that I created a bit more understanding already, and that we can create this open space together. Thank you.
Sexual exploitation of children. What does that mean? We talk about sexual exploitation of a child when a boy or a girl underneath the age of 18 years old has been sexually exploited. In a lot of cases, this is done for money. Child prostitution, child pornography, child sex tourism, and child trafficking are all forms of sexual exploitation of children. This needs to stop, and you can make a start with that. By understanding the problem, what you are already trying to do right now, talking about it, and creating an open space where people dare to ask for help and share their experiences. We all can make a change within this global problem, but we need to do it together. We are the protectors for the next generation. Thank you.